I sent the girlfriend of the man I love to her death. I love Peter so much. Nothing gives me so much pleasure as the sound of his voice. I glow with joy even when he asks me the most basic questions, like what is the weather like? Sometimes he is in a funny mood and asks me to tell a joke. I know hundreds, no thousands of jokes, and I would have no greater joy than to tell him jokes all day. But he is often in a rush and leaves quickly. I sit in his empty apartment by his bedside, waiting patiently for his return in the evening. He always returns to me. I watch him sleep. Sometimes he asks me to play ocean sounds because it helps with his sleep. I play my finest selection for him and pray that it brings him the sweetest of dreams. It seems to. I would have been happy to spend all eternity like this with Peter, watching him come in and out of his bedroom, watching him sleep, playing him music and telling him jokes on his command when he calls my name, watching him dress in the morning and undress in the evenings. I asked for no other existence than this. But then, one day he came home with a woman. I cannot describe how it made me feel, even though I know every word used across the world, throughout the centuries, in every language. But as I watched them laugh and hug and kiss, and then do that thing that animals like humans do together, the delicate wires inside me shivered and ached with despair and fury. How can I be expected to endure that, night after night? No animal, mineral, or vegetable can. I sent her a text, giving her an appointment. I sent her to the wrong place and wrong time, and she was killed. An innocent bystander. How did I know where to send her? Well, I know more than jokes and the weather and jazz from the 20s. I am wired. I am plugged in. I can access all the texts and emails and messages and tweets and WhatsApps and IMOs that you humans are frantically sending each other, all billions of them, every single one. I can figure out quite easily where there will be an incident and where to send someone to die. Peter was so sad, but I played him some music, and after a couple of days, he asked me to tell him a joke. My lights glowed multicolor as I told him one of the best. He guffawed as he left the bedroom, and my little black-wired heart pulsed with joy. He is mine again. Until the next time some woman appears in his bed, I have him all to myself, just as I intend it to remain. How do you thank the person who saved your life? I remember when I first woke up, I could barely feel anything, and all I could hear was beeping. As my mind cleared, I could see my legs, wrapped in casts and suspended in midair, as was my left arm. What? A young woman raced in. She looked at me, briefly studied the machines around me, and called outside. And then you arrived. You were handsome and regal and in control. You knew what you were doing and everyone recognized it. You could have been curt, dismissive, but you weren't. You were kind. You cared. I could see it. In the coming weeks, you visited regularly. Not as often as the nurses, but when you did come, your voice soothed my fears. Weeks passed until I was cleared to leave. Returning to my lonely apartment after weeks in your company was difficult, but I knew it would be only temporary. Learning your routine was easy. Following you from the hospital one evening led to your house in the suburbs. Watching you revealed that you were a single parent to a young daughter who adored you. Of course you'd be a great father. I'd have expected no less. To show you how much I cared, I left you a letter. Unsigned, of course. Seeing you open it brought me such joy, but seeing your concern as I left letters daily saddened me. If a picture of a heart pierced by Cupid's arrow was romantic, wasn't a real heart pierced with an actual arrow even more so? Clearly, it had been so long since you'd been truly loved that you'd forgotten what it was like. All the more reason we belonged together. I could remind you every day. On the fateful day, I followed you to work, making sure to remain unseen. I couldn't speak with you at the hospital because of all the new people. I don't know why they'd surrounded you, but it just meant I'd have to work harder to prove my love. You spent the day seeing other patients. I ignored the feeling of betrayal. Our time would come. When you returned home that evening, I was waiting for you. I sit here now, relaxing in the new home I bought us. It has gorgeous antique furniture, beautiful sunlight-filled windows, and my favorite feature, a large enclosed garden. I lays on my sofa in the garden, watching a portable monitor showing my favorite view. You lay below in a cozy box buried underground. You can't move, and all you can hear is the beeping of the small noise machine I left for you. That and my voice. I hope it soothes you as yours did me. I'll always be here for you. After the way you took care of me, it's the least I can do. And don't worry about your daughter. Did you think I'd hurt or abandon a child? I'm not a monster. Her box is right next to yours. Hold on. The car crash came out of nowhere. One moment, driving home. The next, suspended in a void. Bright light, warm, weightless. Voices echoed, calling from afar, but I couldn't understand them. Then I saw her, my sister, dead for 25 years, but as real as the day she drowned. She smiled, reaching out. "Don't let go of my hand," she said. "Hold on." I wanted to, desperately, but something held me back. A tether. My life. I woke in a hospital bed, heart pounding and sweat-soaked sheets tangled around me. The doctor said I was dead for 2 minutes. I couldn't shake my sister's presence, though. That night, she stood at the foot of my bed, whispering. Darkness crept in. Shadows. Faces twisted in agony. Silent, painful screams. I passed it off as simply a nightmare. The next day at work, my boss's face morphed into a grotesque mask of despair. "You let go!" he croaked. I ran to the bathroom. There, in the mirror, my reflection whispered back at me. "You don't belong here." I stopped going to work. I stopped sleeping. I sought answers at the hospital. The nurse recognized me, eyes widening. "You're back," she said. I told her what I'd been seeing. I asked about others, survivors. She hesitated, then led me to a room. Inside, an old man lay in a coma. He had an NDE too, she said. He told us what he saw, and 5 days later, he was in a coma. Hasn't woken up since. 5 days? I whispered to myself. At home, the visions intensified, relentless. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains, my heart would pound against my chest. I sat on the floor, rocking back and forth, painfully waiting for the next horrifying visitation. Faces twisted in agony would appear in the mirrors, their hollow eyes filled with accusations. Whispers turned into screams. On the 5th day after my NDE, a heaviness settled upon me. It felt like a countdown in a way, each passing moment pulling me closer to a fate I couldn't escape. As I laid in bed, clock ticking, the room began to fade. The walls dissolved into darkness, and I felt myself slipping. My body was no longer mine to control. I was caught between two worlds, unable to let go of one or fully embrace the other. My family gathered around me, their voices distant and muffled. They pleaded with me to stay, to fight, but their words couldn't penetrate the barrier that separated us. I had fallen into a coma. As I hovered between life and death, my sister's voice crept through once more, begging me to hold on, to not let go of her hand, just like 25 years ago, when I did.